Welcome back, everybody, to the Hoops Post Up. We took a week off and we're back with some new fantasy stats.
That's right. Something a little different this time. If you've been following us, we looked at per 36 stats, which can be telling, but at the same time can sometimes be misleading depending on, what you believe. And we've also looked at some other things like usage rate. This time we're going to take a dive into true shooting percentage.
Don't forget, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow us on social media.
Absolutely. It's not just fantasy that we do. We take care of news. We do some 2K20, right?
And don't forget,
Your
Fashion
Friday. Oh, when I say we cover it all, NBA really, I'm saying we cover it all. But this is all about fantasy. Let's get into it.
All right, so we have Fantasy 5, right? This is our Fantasy 5. Do you have 5 for us?
You know I do, all right? The Fantasy 5, we usually pick out 5, either risers, fallers, or both. This time, we're just going to pick out 5 sleepers for you, and we're going to focus, like I mentioned, on true shooting percentage. Find some guys that are under 50% owned in typical Yahoo leagues, and let's get started.
All right, so first up, we have on our Fantasy 5 sleepers for this week, Jackson Hayes, power forward, center from New Orleans.
That's right, a rookie. A lot of rookies show up on the sleeper list typically because we just don't know what you're getting with them. In this case, this guy who's coming on as far as playing time lately. Jahlil Okafor, seeing his time drop. I believe last game he only played like 9 minutes, something like that, barely get on the court. He's still a factor, but still, it looks like Hayes is going to be there either 4 or 5 of the future. It's like they're grooming him to be their man in the middle. Of course, assuming Zion ever comes back, then that'll change things a little bit. But Hayes at center, Zion at power forward, that's not a bad combination, right?
Well, I see 5 rebounds, not so many blocks, but maybe he's getting used to it and being in that position, in that comfort zone.
Now, this is per game, right? We've talked about per 36, and of course that would change things. His per game stats don't jump off the page, which is why he's a sleeper. But again, his minutes have been ramping up as the season goes on. We're looking at somebody who's been doing well lately, obviously. And like I mentioned, Okafor hasn't been impressing too much. Yeah, the worry is, okay, well, what about Zion? Zion's going to come back at some point. Okay, so first of all, when do you think Zion is coming back? Do you think when he comes back, they're going to rush him back and put him in at 30 minutes a game?
Zion's not coming back until after.
After the All-Star break? You know, at this point, I wouldn't even be surprised.
I think it's after All-Star break. That's just my call. I don't see him coming back. I haven't heard anything about him.
No, well, that's the thing.
Have you? I haven't heard anything. I've heard nothing about
quiet.
Zion.
And to think about how they slow played him just in Summer League, right? He bit
one appearance. He
out.
Touched the ball and then they pulled him out.
And that was it. And preseason, same thing. I mean, talk about being careful with the
delicate.
They're being, I think, to the extreme. So, needless to say, don't worry about Zion this year, right?
No, we want to focus on other players who can.
Who's on the court right now, right?
Exactly.
Who's on the court right now? Hayes is on the court. He's playing well. And recently, if you look at his recent numbers, he's coming on pretty strong. So, again, what we're talking about is true shooting percentage. He's in the top 20 of the league. 64% true shooting percentage, which if you want to know the full definition of true shooting percentage,
let's pull it up.
And I know you do.
Yes,
chewy.
True shooting percentage. Let's go.
All right, what is true shooting percentage? I'm glad you asked. So the short version is true shooting percentage basically is one of these fancy formulas that talks about shooting efficiency. So it talks about
points.
Yeah, scoring, but field goals, 3-pointers, and free throws. And then there's, if you can see there, the actual formula.
Shooting percentage.
Yeah.
Attempts. Okay. All right. So getting back.
So Hayes, obviously being a big man, he's going to get probably some better looks close to the basket. You're going to see, generally speaking, more big men with higher field goal percentage, of course, in general, but also true shooting percentage. The guys that you would expect to be there, right? Who the best players in the league? When you think about who's going to be most efficient in terms of not just field goals, but free throws, 3-pointers.
Well, 3-pointers.
Everything.
I don't know. I'm thinking of the main players. Like, I think of, like, Paul George. I think of Harden. I think of, like...
Especially free throws. You're talking about Harden and his free throws.
Oh, my God. Has he been
we're not
awful
going to
lately?
get him. Okay,
Yeah,
we're not going to get him. Anyways, I mean, those guys. Harden is a top 30 player in terms of true shooting percentage. You're right. Paul George. Giannis, of course. He's up there. But that's not the top 10, right? So there are going to be some surprising names, and you take it with a grain of salt. But, again, we're looking for sleepers here, right? Guys who are up there that could make a difference. So,
Duncan Robinson. Now, I have to ask this question.
Mhm.
I actually did some research on this, and I went back to check just to see when he was born. Because I really want to know. Did his parents, they have to be NBA fans?
Duncan.
Yes, Duncan Robinson. Did you name your kid after Tim Duncan and David Robinson? Are you a Spurs fan? I want to know. I actually checked. He was way past that time. So, hey, Duncan Robinson, if it's true, give me a call. Let me know. Write me up. I don't know. Send me a DM. Tell me, did your parents name you after Timmy Duncan, David Robinson?
Yeah, the answer is no. But that would make a great story if he was drafted by the Spurs, right? Unfortunately, no, he's with my team, the Heat, instead, and I'm glad he is. So take a look at Mr. Duncan Robinson. Okay, so you probably know by now, Duncan Robinson making a name for himself because he's shooting the three, I'd say pretty well. And his 42% three-point percentage, pretty solid there. But look at the true shooting percentage, a 65.8%,
Nice.
11th in the league. Now, why do you add him for fantasy? For three-pointers, yeah. Shooting percentage, three-point percentage. Look at that free throw percentage.
That's pretty impressive.
93.8%.
Wow. You
Not
want
bad.
him on the line.
So, yeah, that's a guy that's going to help you across the board in all your percentages. No, he's not going to get you 20 points a game, although he did at one point. And I was at the game against Golden State where halfway through the first quarter, he was single-handedly outscoring the Golden State Warriors. Not kidding. That
Nice.
says a lot more about the Warriors than it does Robinson. But anyways, this is a guy on a team who, dare I say, one of the best in the East.
Yes, they're up there. Top 3? Are they in that?
I think, they won
Yeah,
tonight. So there
yeah.
you go. So anyways, Robinson is definitely a guy to target for percentages.
Sweet. All right, let's take a look at Moritz Vogner.
Nicely done.
Yeah, Wagner from
And-
Washington. Okay, so power forward, center. He's 29% owned, but tell me why I want him on my roster.
Actually, we mentioned Wagner before. If you guys
Yeah,
are
we have.
watching, I think it was maybe week 2 or 3. This is a guy who's getting some run. Obviously, Thomas Bryant out for a while. Don't know how many more weeks he'll be gone. So Wagner's going to get a chance to clock some minutes. And you can see he's shooting the ball pretty well. And his percentages, in terms of true shooting percentage, there it is, 68.4, fifth right now. 5th in the NBA.
Wow,
And
that's pretty impressive.
getting a decent mix of points and boards. Not going to block a ton of shots if you're playing him at center, but still enough to get the job done. And again, this is a guy who I think at the very least for the next couple of weeks is streamable. Only about a third of fantasy leagues, so definitely a guy worth scooping up.
Very nice. Up next, I have to give a woo! Shout out my George Hill.
Where's your jersey? She has a
I
George
need
Hill
to go
jersey.
get it. My George Hill. Woo! Thrill.
Yes, the thrill is real.
Oh, he's in Milwaukee now, isn't he?
He's in Milwaukee, and I'll tell you, you should be glad Milwaukee lighting it up. I mean, they can't stop winning, basically. They just trounced the Clippers
they're
the other
very
day.
impressive
What is it,
lately.
13 in a row, something like that?
I love watching them play. I'm sorry, I have to say, I see a little bit of my Spurs in there.
Well,
A little
besides
sprinkle
Hill,
here, a little
obviously
sprinkle
Coach
there.
Bud, right?
Yes,
The coaching.
Yes.
Anyways,
yes.
so as far as Hill, very underrated for fantasy. I mean, obviously we know not a starter. He comes off the bench and he does his thing, but take a look at those percentages. Now, usually we talk about big men being here and the shooting percentages. Look at that, fourth
Fourth
in the league in true shooting
True
percentage.
shooting percentage.
Of course, that includes
60.
threes. So here's the reason. Look at that 3-point percentage. Over 50% still. We're 20-something games into the season. He's shooting over 50%
I love
from
my George.
3-point.
I love him.
And his offensive box plus minus is 10th in the league at 4.6. That's a more telling stat of his overall value.
If
to
you
the
don't
team.
have him on your roster, you need to pick him up and put him in your lineup.
I'm
I'm telling you.
It's shocking that he's not owned in more. I mean, a guy who's
I
shooting
own
50%
him.
from 3. Yeah, but where's everybody else at? I mean, seriously, this is a guy that I know some people worried, well, he's not going to get enough minutes because of his role. And it's true, sometimes inconsistent. Sometimes he'll sit on back-to-back. There was a game the other day. They were blowing out the team, and so they kind of sat.
Well,
But still, I mean, that happens to every player.
It does. It
So,
does. But
anyways,
so good. So
George
proud of you,
Hill.
George.
Yep. This was my idea to put on Hill, not hers. So this is not just a bias thing. Anyways.
Yes. All right. So up next we have Christian Wood from Detroit. 10% owned. Wow, look at his true shooting percentage.
So, yeah, obviously had to put him on here because if we have this list here, he's first on the list.
First.
Okay, now this is just one stat though, right? This is percentage-wise.
Yes.
You think, okay, well, he can help me field goal percentage. What else though? Here's what's interesting about Christian Wood. He's been kind of up and down, right? He's never really had a breakout game, breakout season. Well, he kind of had a breakout game against the Spurs the other day. Yeah, that Detroit game. Let's forget that happened.
Hey, we came back.
Monster game, yeah. No, they definitely bounced back after that. Monster game against the Spurs, right? 28-10. But since then, he's been very up and down. But here's the thing. There's a certain player in Detroit who plays power forward also that might not be with Detroit very long. I mean, we don't know, right? We have that trade
Seriously,
machine.
you think?
I don't know. We have that trade machine episode, which you guys should check out too. We're going to talk trades.
We're going to do it next. Yeah.
But what are the chances Blake Griffin is still a Piston at the end of the year?
I don't think he will be. Honestly, I think he's gone.
So if that does happen, who slides right in there and takes his spot? It's Christian Wood.
Yeah.
Okay. And look at the rest of those stats there. You're already averaging 9 points per game. That's not bad, right? About a block, 62% field goal percentage. Don't tell me that can't help you somewhere. Now, if you're in a 10-team or shallow league, then no, you don't want Christian Wood. But this is more of a speculative stash, right?
Okay.
And if you have a strong feeling like we do that Blake Griffin is on the move, Wood's the guy that you want to get now instead of waiting till later when everybody else picks him up.
That's right. So here you have it. Our Fantasy 5 for this week. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, turn it all on. Follow us on social media, and don't forget to comment below. We want to hear what you know and what you want to see.
That's right. Hit us up with comments, trade questions, waiver wire, starts it, anything you got, throw it at us. And social media, we're literally everywhere, I think, right?
Yes.
Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
And he's on XM Radio sometimes, so catch him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Peace and love, everyone. Woo! We love you.